figured for my last video of the day, I could do something hop specific. So the idea is that you take a cube, you extrude it out twice, and I'm assuming that Boxcutter now has auto scale on by default, which means that, after I bevel this, I could just go in here and just control click and just begin beveling like so. However, it won't show unless it's before the bevel or the boolean, because it always destroys the data. We want to reset it and mirror this across like so. Maybe lower the auto smooth and show that in action. Next thing is to basically create a circle. But the thing about circle is that, when you create circle, you want to cut in, but then you want to press J and make it into a union. And then it's actually a lot easier to go from difference to union, because union is built to go the opposite way, which can sometimes be daunting to new users. So we put a circle in here, and then the other idea was that we look at it from the back here and we just pop it with a few of these babies at an angle. I still got release lock on from earlier. I just never close Blender unless it starts failing me. And for this cut, we'll probably actually bring that in. So it's something more like that. That actually speaks to my randomness a little better. Ooh. There's some elements that do not speak to my randomness. And that is my love of straight edges. So we will just draw a box. Just really corner this element. In fact, I see that I actually have perma-snap on. One of the requests that I have for Ngon is the ability to have perma-snap on, but have the ability to override perma-snap whenever you have it on, which, kind of offsets the behavior of perma-snap, but it also makes it feel a little bit more in line with what you would expect from Blender. So now I'm actually having to free range these angles just to get it exactly where I want, but got a pretty good eye. Well, not too good. I can see I failed. And then we just bring this in, put some thickness, and this thing was hardly the worth that I had to go through for this. But let's actually bring it back, and we can actually just select these two and run the old flatten on X. Just call that a day, and just continue moving on. In fact, I probably won't cut anything that deep in this video. That's a little intricate. Try to keep these quick. Things you could show at parties. If your parties involve you talking about Boxcutter, don't party with me. Note to the why. So we will just put a dice in here, and I'm actually dicing the cutter, which is kind of weird, but I'm hoping that this carries on into this area to help it basically transition a circle better. Really the circle doesn't matter. We could actually scroll back and bring back up the circle, and on the circle hit it with a level of sharpen, and then put a level of sub D on it, and that thing will come out looking good for the purposes of this demo. However, we do see the shading kind of break down a little bit right there, but that could be shadow. Shadow's always messing with your brain, making you see hallucinations and shadow demons, kind of like your hair when it's too long during an apocalypse. So the next thing from here is we're just going to convert this to mesh, and we're just going to go under mesh tools and dice this. And by dicing it, we can press 1, 2, 3. It really doesn't matter which one you go with. It's just going to add more resolution and more mesh to deal with. So we'll press T, which will make dice jump to knife, and we'll press Q and change the algorithm. And now we've actually rolled unto dice. And I actually wanted this since the moment dice was made, was the ability to roll dice unto twist, because they kind of go hand in hand. So now that we have this, the first thing I'm going to do is just delete the side faces and remove their markings. Let's try that again. We'll do it for the other side. And first we'll unmark, double unmark, remove faces, and now we have no seam problem. So if we go back in and we start modifying twists again, we can see that I'm already in the displace mode for it. So if I press Shift D it'll actually duplicate it, allowing you to create like these really interesting duplicate situations where we'll duplicate it, and not only duplicate it but flip it for you. So if we go back into Twist 360 again, you can press F and you can just flip it yourself going inside. So I should probably talk about that too. And then if you press Shift D, you just duplicate it, getting a nice piece you can just stack on. And so for me, being, you know, Mr. Random, hashtag frame times 0.015. And, you know, I've spent some time kind of contemplating these drivers, and I've realized that, you know, by multiplying numbers, like this driver seems like it would be complex, but I mean, I'm no mathematician. I'm a opposite of that. I was going to say I'm an idiot, but I'm definitely no mathematician. But I've also been experimenting with things like just using cos frame times 0.15 and just make things go in a bobbing motion gradually and turn back and forth. So it'd probably be cool to show that in a video, and then also to talk about how I will just press QOT, which is Q, operations, and to shape, and we can activate, instead of cube, cylinder, and really just made such a large cylinder. So weird. You know, we won't talk about such things, but we'll just put a, you know, a cylinder around it and solidify it. You know, maybe hit R, and then under material, hit the old classic, what is it? Hover and see the tooltip. Can't see the tooltip while it's playing though. But we can shift click it, which I should know because I specifically asked for it and probably made it. Now capable of going in and allowing us to just set these things up under glass. I don't know, just I'm a weirdo. I love putting models under glass. It's my thing now. You know, call me French. I was about to do an imitation, but that would be terrible. I don't want to incite a situation. But yeah, just, you know, make it, put it under glass, you know, and then take it to the next level, right? Like I'm over here still listening to Psytrance. So that means you need to have like crazy lights. So there's actually two different emissive materials inside of hops. One of them is this new one that is like a pulse material, and then the classic one that you've probably gotten used to over the last couple of versions. But with this one, you can do like some new things with it, and I'm not ready to talk about it yet. So if you're watching the extended cut, you're about to find out. But basically, if you look at the material, it's like a group now, and you can set things up like, let's say I don't want it to go to black. Let's say I want it to go to green. So it just switches between, you know, maybe I want it to go between blue and yellow instead. And maybe I want the emission to be 16. So there's a multiplier for that too. So it's kind of in a tryout phase right now. So in case you're wondering, why isn't it integrated throughout hops? It's like, well, first I need to make sure it's stable. I need to make sure it's good, because it's so easy to let these things go in a direction that I don't like. And then I end up just forgetting about it and putting it on the list to have remade. But, you know, that right there is what Hops Cutter is all about. Just getting in here and just making just some quick stuff. I mean, it looks like a really crazy Simon Says board from the future, but I think I have it in me to record a test round with this. So we'll just save this as Twist, powered by PowerSave. And that's that. And, you know, let's get into it. In fact, let's check in on the metrics. All right, nobody's complaining. That's all that matters. That's a response to an email. I always try to keep my inbox clean of email, so that way I can really sit down and just stare out the window. But anyways, so we have our piece here, just goofing off, and you know, I guarantee you when I do the actual tutorial, blank material will give me the whitest white material, and everything will go askew and awry and afoul. No, I'm kidding. I have faith in myself. Squeeze the cat for good luck, you know. Gotta center myself. Really think about this, right? Like, oh, I need to get in there and I need to make this cut, but I need to make this cut clean. And last time the cut got a little bit dirty, which caused me to have to dice the cutter. So we could go into that because I ended up getting a fine result at the end. And in the end, none of this stuff matters because it's going to be twisted so freaking hard. I'm already thinking in my head that we could just cut a couple of circles in there too. So let's go ahead and do that. In fact, how do I want to introduce this video? Hey guys, so this is a popular type of knuckle popper I do to start my day. Yeah, you know, that sounds good. Let's roll with that. Drink a little water. I need a little more water over here. Just saying. You guys can't see it all on camera, but I got like 5 bottles of water. In fact, there we go. Now you can see what I'm talking about. In fact, normally I also wear this, I've been alternate between wearing like this lapel mic and just talking in my general microphone that I can't swing over because my monitor's humongous. But I love working in this office. It's how I get the work done. All right, let's do this. Always follow your dreams. I mean, my dreams are to have better surfaces and to have the world have better surfaces. But anyways, let's do this. A popular way that I like to test this software in the morning is to just get in here and do a quick twist test. So with our default cube here, I'm going to press SX 1.5 to scale it out 1.5 times. And we'll just look at it in top view, and I will just go in box cutter and do a Ngon box cut, or do an Ngon cut. And we'll press B to bevel it, give it a pretty big bevel, press spacebar to apply, my favorite way to apply. And we'll tab into edit mode, and I'll just select this edge and we'll control click mark, which will allow us to bevel this. I'll tap 1 in order to just quickly set it to a profile of 0.5 for this. And in object mode, we can see that bevel doesn't show. So normally I go into bevel and just shift scroll in order to move it up the stack because the Boolean data destroys the bevel data. So at this point, we can press Alt X to bring up the mirror tool. And I like pressing X in order to reset it to default, just to ensure that we're all using the same mirror tool. And we'll just mirror it on a Z. And next thing I'll do is press D and switch box cutter over to circle. And we'll just draw a quick circle and just bring it in, but we'll press J in order to turn it into a union. And now we have a union on the inside of the shape. In fact, one good turn deserves another, so we'll put just one more. In fact, I accidentally went to J too soon, which means it's extruding in the opposite direction. But that's fine. I could just press E and we can extrude it wherever we need, as well as tab into edit mode and just modify things specifically with dots, or even press Q and use mod scroll to bring back a specific modifier I would like to adjust. We can see that even in this example that the cylinder broke down a little bit on its shading. So I'll press Q and we'll roll back to bring back that cylinder. And the first thing I'll do is under operations, we'll choose to sharpen it, because under my sharpen settings, under Control tilde, I have sharp option set to apply crease, which will allow me to sub-D it, giving it a little bit more definition on the geometry, as well as put some edge loops in with Control R to just help that shade a little better. It's nothing major, it just irks me. So we'll rotate the view a couple of times from front by just pressing, I believe, numpad 8. And we'll just go into Ngon. And notice that I started off the mesh in order to trigger view align mode instead of surface draw. And that is because I want a very specific result of triple clicking to laser cut in order to send it out at this particular angle. And to fix the shading, all I have to do is just press Q, shift click sharpen in order to bring up the auto smooth adjustment modal, where I can just scroll the wheel to get the smoothing exactly where I want, in which case the default auto smooth jump setting is actually quite optimal for most people's needs. However, I do probably want to double check and make sure I don't accidentally over smooth the front of the cylinder. We can also Alt X and notice that I'm in mirror, but the Z is already in use, so I could click it to deactivate it, or we can actually choose to not close this after operation. I can just click it to activate it and deactivate it, just to show you how we can mirror from this side, and we can also mirror from the opposite. So if you wanted to go in and flip it, or even choose which mirror modifier you're modifying, you can do that inside of the mirror tool. As of this latest update, everyone should be using by now. So we'll just mirror this to the other side, and I'll just right click to get out of the operation, and we're pretty much good to go for this test. A little bit over explanation for the build up, but let's get into it. So with dice, you can press 1, 2, 3 in order to choose how many segments you want. Just some arbitrary numbers we set just to ensure that you have a quick, rapid, fun dice experience. And in case I went over it too fast, pressing Q and going under mesh tools will actually let you go to dice when you have a mesh selected. So we're just going to go to setting 2, but I'm actually going to press T in order to twist this operation. So basically, whenever we click to apply dice, it will actually jump us into the modal of Twist 360. And so now that we're here, we'll just go ahead and click to apply, where I can then talk about these perimeter edges. So because of the way that this mesh still has faces over here on the side, that is going to cause issues with it showing these seams in the middle because they just don't merge right. And that's because there's really no modifier solution for deleting interior faces at this time. So we'll just delete those faces where you can see instantly that that seam is gone. So back in object mode, we can just press Q and go back under Twist 360 if we want to adjust the Twist 360 itself. However, the point of today's video is to show you that if you press Shift D, you can actually duplicate a Twist 360 that you're in the middle of modifying. So if you want to make a second one to just stick out, and you can do this just as many times as you want. Of course, I'll need to zoom out a little bit due to mouse wrap issues that aren't yet implemented at this time, but who knows, maybe that will be taken care of in the future. But now that we are zoomed out a little bit, we're able to adjust this. And if you look at the help over on the right side, it also shows that you can press F in order to flip it, or basically rotate it 180 degrees. So if you wanted it to be a very particular look, you could do that. So in order to tie this video off, we can press N and bring up the N panel, where I can select one of these and just choose to just type in something in the rotation. In my case, I'm going to type in hashtag frame times 0.15, and we'll just press enter. And so now this will basically rotate in perpetuity because it's calculating the frame and multiplying it by a number. And so we can actually select that driver, and on the next one just paste the driver, but instead of just letting it be that, we'll put a negative sign. I was going to say a minus sign, I guess it is minus, but put a negative in front so it goes the opposite way. And for the last one, we'll actually paste the driver, but instead of letting it be frame, we'll change it to be cos. So that, and that actually broke it. So let's make sure we have a pound at the front. Cos times, let's try frame times 0.15. So we need something in it in order to generate something. And now we actually have the result that we want. So I actually just rehearsed this where I just typed it in from scratch and I had no issues. And here we see myself just making a mistake that could have been avoided with a little more rehearsal, but no problem. Continuing on, we'll just keep playing with numbers until we get something that's somewhat random. You know, it really doesn't matter. It's just a shape that we're just goofing off with. And I'll select everything and press Alt M, and we'll just control click to just get a material scroll. We don't even know what materials we got yet because we're just in the viewport. But to tie this off, I will select this shape and press QOT, which is basically Q, operations, and to shape. And with the F9, we can actually change this to be a cylinder. And by pressing S and Z, we can actually scale this in. For some reason, with these twist objects, they just make it a little bit bigger, but it's really no problem. And we'll go ahead and just sharpen it, add a level of subdivision, bevel it, and then from here, just add a level of solidify. Maybe press 2 in order to push it out as much inwards as it goes outwards. and also press R to make it have no inwards and just be only rem. And we see that the help was being obscured by our end panel, which is a annoyance that drives me crazy. But by pressing Alt M and shift clicking blank material, we can now see inside of our results again. So if we jump over to render, this is basically what we created just in this quick video, just a quick rundown of what you can expect by playing with dice and Twist 360. In fact, I'm just selecting these objects and alt clicking sharpen in order to ensure that their shading is at their best. So to tie this video up, we can just have nothing selected, press Q, and choose add camera in order to just add a camera where we can just zoom in and out. And we're basically rotating around a rotating object, which is kind of a mental conundrum into itself. But to wrap it up, we will just scale a plane up to 80, something I'm just into now, and we'll just place it below. Scroll material, scroll till we get a nice material as the base floor. And then we can press Alt VV in order to cycle through various environments. In this case, I don't want to actually see the background overlay, so I press Tab in order to turn that off. And now we can just press S and cycle through various environments till we get something that we like. In fact, I'm feeling a little monochromatic today, so if I rotate the environment against the rotation of the camera, kind of almost against the rotation of the objects, it looks a little crazy. But to end this on a nice note, what we can do is Shift A, add a curve, and with our curve we can just first give it some thickness because we're in render view, we're not going to see it otherwise. Just give it some thickness, and we will just alt click to add an emission. And for this emission, we'll just duplicate it and just place it at various areas outside of the object just to get something showing in the render. And then of course I'm rendering under EVHQ settings, just the defaults as always. They're typically set to my favorite default, so people getting into Blender can just quickly get to the render settings that they're seeing shown in these videos. We can press Alt VV again, and while we're in this viewport rotate mode, instead of changing anything, I'm going to press Q in order to turn on emission, and we can just let this thing just play us out. So with that, I can finally wrap up for today. I thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, so that wraps up the video. We can call this we'll call it Twist 360 in action. I got so many Twist 360 videos, they could get their own playlist, but I'm such a big fan of Twist 360. It's why it's one of the first tools ever added to Hops, because I really needed to twist things. And I feel like now that we have this working well, it could probably be expanded further in the future. So let's make this thing mono. I don't need to play a clip that I just made. I could also, after the videos, always forget to record a Twitter version, which is basically a version that I time compress in order to fit on Twitter. Talk about some integrals there. We'll call this twist times 1, and we'll just let that render. And this is basically the result of our tutorial. We'll just call it twist, and this is actually twist number 14. Not saying that I haven't been twisting a lot, just that I haven't been twisting a lot in my power save directory just yet. I mean, on the other computers, I usually twist a lot on the laptop. Like twist is my favorite activity. In fact, the viewport rotate and all that good stuff was pretty much made because of issues I was experiencing on the laptop. I was like, I think we could do better. We could do better than this. And sure enough, we pretty much created the I don't want to sound conceited, but I think it's a pretty nice viewport experience for quickly navigating through your environments and things for getting you to where you need to go. In fact, we can start playing with our reflections, just really get something creative going on here. And you almost don't even need to see this thing rotate in rotation in order to admire it. You almost don't even need to put it under glass to admire it. I mean, I should do an intro where just a camera. You see how snap was slowing it down right there? It's because it's trying to calculate snap on a moving mesh in real time while the timeline's playing. But yeah, it's just something pulling out, you know. Something about these things just hypnotizes me. I just look at them and I'm just like, I don't know anymore. So for this thing, I mean, I can't just be idle. Can't ever be idle. That's the secret to getting better at 3D. You know, you don't be idle. Always be practicing. So we'll just look at this from top and just do a God, local just gets so weird sometimes. We'll try that again. And there we go. We did our maneuver. And let's mod scroll this thing. And that should do it. So I bet parent shape's on, and it's not on. For the first time, parent shape's not on. Someone call a freaking reporter. Because parent shape, it's either on or it's off. But more often than not, I'd be catching that thing on. So let's smart apply. Smart apply for 900. You know, smart apply is like just my replacement for C sharpen now. I realized that I had needs that I definitely couldn't fit in a sharpener. There we go. So now we have all these things rotating, and then in the middle, we could put one more thing to just be a point of admirance, just maybe a little smaller though. And let's try QOT on that thing again. QOT, and we got a slightly bigger cylinder. You know, I have to check those F6 settings. I never tweak the F6s just because I want everything to be fairly predictable. There we go. All right, more developments. You know, if you guys were smart, you would not be complaining about the speed of these updates. You would want every update possible. Like, you know, the aim of us is to try to change the 3D landscape and get Blender to care a little bit more about hard surface modeling. I mean, sure, Blender can render the hell out of some llamas, no doubt about it. But, you know, I also need some robots. Need that good stuff. So I ran a sharpen on this in order to go in face mode and just quickly select some things, and we can just slap it with the blank material. Love blank material. It's my pride and joy, and we can even change blank material if we wanted just by going into destructive material scroll and just scrolling through combinations of what this material could be. In fact, we press C, we start bringing color into the mix, and I don't know, sometimes color does it for me. Like we got this one chrome ring on the outside. I don't know about it though. I don't know. So with that, I can wrap up this video and see you guys next time.